Mkulu Amir, welcome to the Q's podcast.
Sure.
Are you good?
I'm good.
Yeah, Tawaza. Can you please introduce yourself to the viewers at home? Who is Mkulu Amir?
I'm Mkulu Amir, spiritual healer, father, husband,
Yeah.
and most of all, human being.
Safta.
Safta.
Safta, what do we do?
Yeah, I don't like to talk about
that.
accolades. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, take us back. Where are you from?
So where I grew up, or my family, or
yeah, everything. Take us back. Paint a picture for us.
Okay, so my mom is of Arab origin. Yeah. But she's third generation South African. I'm fourth. Okay. My dad is second. His granddad was from England. Yeah. And his grandmother, and I'm talking, this is maternally, was from the island of Saint Helena, which is an island of Angola. Yeah. And then paternally, his dad is also British. So island of Saint Helena, so they would be Creole. Yeah. It's a British enclave of Angola. In the previous dispensation, I would have been classified as Cape Malay. Cape Malay. So I grew up in a Islamic home. I'm not Islamic. I studied it. I understand it. I speak Arabic. I read the Quran. I understand the depths of the religion. Yeah. But at the same time, along my spiritual journey, of course, I went back to source, and I'm a-religious. When it comes to...
You are a-religious?
Yeah.
Oh, please break it down. What do you mean when you say you are a-religious?
So,
someone might not know.
It's... I should say that I don't believe in any religion. Yeah. That said, though, yeah, I believe in all religions.
Yeah.
If something works, it works. Whether you are from any religious practice or spiritual practice, I believe that all paths lead to the divine. Yeah.
That's true.
And most of all, we gotta understand, and this is my belief, that the divine lives within us all. So if that path is leading me to find that divinity within myself first and foremost, regardless of where the path comes from, and as long as it's heading in that direction, I'm good with it.
Wow. So growing up, where do you grow up?
So I grew up in KZN.
KwaZulu
Natal, yes. Yeah. I grew up with a lady that worked for my grandmother, Auntie Eunice. Yeah. I miss her a lot. She's passed on. Yes. Sure. She was definitely my mother, I should say.
She understood you.
She understood me. She loved me. She did everything for me more than my own mother did.
Wow. Because you spent a lot of time with her.
Yeah. So people say that my legs are amakwek.
Kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, brackets.
Brackets.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Auntie Eunice was quite a big lady, and I loved ballet, you know. So all the years of being around Auntie Eunice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Sure. So what would you say? Do you have anything of sentimental value from Mama Eunice, or any teachings from her which you remember?
Yes, of course. You know, there was lots of teachings. I've, you know, the biggest teaching for me,
Yeah,
was that I remained humble. You know, I I never, I was never, I never thought that I was more privileged than anybody.
yeah.
I never thought that my skin color separated me from anybody else.
Yeah.
Um, I've always been someone that's with the people,
Yeah.
you know. Auntie Eunice also taught me how to hustle, you know, because Auntie Eunice would sell what they call gavin.
What is
gavin? Gavin is like a homemade golok, you know, a homemade brew.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Goloko. Yeah.
Yeah. So
People will come.
People would come, yes, and she'd sell the nip, half nip.
Oh yeah, I
quarter
see.
nip,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yes. And then I would always get my 2 rand to go play games in the shop, you know.
Yeah. The machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing machine.
So that's definitely the biggest lesson. And she was from the Eastern Cape.
Wow.
And always told me that my cows are waiting for me.
Go.
Yeah. And only when years later, when I was now on my, when I was deeper into my spiritual journey,
yeah.
I always thought that it was physical cows, and yes, maybe she meant that my physical cows are waiting for me, and if anything happens to her, I must go fetch my cows.
Yeah.
However, I understood it later on in life, you know. Those cows was definitely my gifts.
Wow.
You know, I received the gift from a very, very young age.
Do you remember the age?
Yeah. So I got the sickness when I was 8.
You were still in primary?
I had just started school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, I never really understood what was going on with me.
Yeah.
I was 8. I got the sickness. They also, the doctors didn't really know what was wrong.
Yeah.
They diagnosed me with meningitis. But you know, meningitis being a sickness that also affects the head,
yeah.
You know. So that was obviously the psychic abilities that was opening up, or the abilities to see things, see things that maybe others don't
see. Basically, the third eye.
Yes. And luckily for me at the time, my parents were
they together at the time, or?
Yeah, my parents are still together.
Even now?
Wow. They still like young lovers.
Wow, that's dope.
Yeah,
that's good.
And so they my parents basically guided me, but of course using their frame of reference, guiding me in a more Islamic way, you know. Yes, with that guidance, but more in a esoteric, spiritual Islamic way, more than like mainstream Islam.
Well, there's mainstream and esoteric one.
So there is what you call Sufism. Sufism is the mystical study of Islam. I don't know if you've ever heard of people like Rumi.
No, I haven't heard it.
So if you Google Rumi, R-U-M-I,
Yeah.
you begin to understand, like, just by the quotes and what he says. For example, he says, and back to that paths and God, and he was a scholar that studied in different countries and spent his entire life, you know, in on the course of studying the divine.
The divine. Yeah.
And he said, I've searched and I've searched and I've searched,
Wow.
only to find that the divine lives in me.
Basically, he was searching externally, only to find out that
yes,
he's inside.
It's 100%.
Wow.
So I went along on this journey. Still, of course, we mustn't forget I'm a human being, right?
Yeah.
So being a human being, we have to live human experiences.
Go through all those stages.
Go through human emotions, go through all those stages. Explore with whatever it is, girls,
yeah,
nightclub,
adolescence and stuff.
Yeah. However, with me, it was a.
Would you say you were a different child from other children? Like, how was your relationship with other children?
Yes, I was very much a different child. What made me a different child, I would say, is that I always felt like I didn't belong.
Oh yeah,
you know,
I know the feeling.
And I always felt like I couldn't really fit in. Don't get me wrong, I was a popular guy, you know, but I myself internally,
inside, yeah,
you know,
you're feeling.
And there was many times that I felt like I'm better alone. You know, I'd like to spend a lot more time alone than with people.
Yeah.
So in that case, I was very much a loner.
Yeah.
And so I continued on my journey, and then something profound happened. You know, like my cousin's daughter.
Yeah.
She was about 6 years old.
Yeah.
At the time, I was in my early 20s, and she got sick. And she got exactly the same sickness that I got. But prior to that, I had seen these guys do this spiritual practice.
Yeah.
And they were in Malaysia. Right? And them being in Malaysia, I never had access to them.
Yeah.
However, my grandmother and my grandfather would go to Malaysia on holidays, right? Because they had some friends in Malaysia. And I'd always ask about these guys.
Mm.
But there was no connection. Like my grandmother and my grandfather was just like, yeah, we see them. But they were talking about some other spiritual practice, not the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
And this continued for years, me asking them, because they would go at least once a year to Malaysia. And I kept on asking them, you know.
Mm.
And there was something that wasn't sitting okay with me. Like, I always just wanted to know about these guys. So let's fast track. She gets sick.
Yeah.
And my mother decides that she's going to take her to Malaysia.
Yeah.
But she was taking her to Malaysia to get spiritual healing, because I was the one that, of course, noticed that there's something wrong. She has a gift. Something's not okay. She needs spiritual intervention. So my mom goes to see some other person that my grandparents had met there over the years, right? And this guy is a spiritual healer, but he's also an extremely wealthy and affluent individual in Malaysia. So my mom goes, and after 2 weeks, they can't get an appointment with this man because he's busy with his business.
Business.
His business. He was traveling. He wasn't in the same city that they were, which is Kuala Lumpur. And so my mom says that, listen, she's been in the country now for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
She's burning through her money. This man is not seeing her. She doesn't know what to do. She meets another lady and tells the lady this story. Like, I've been here for 2.5 weeks, staying in the hotel. I'm spending all my money. How am I going to get to this child needs help. This man is not coming. I can't really wait for him another 2 weeks. And I don't know. It's hard. They can't get hold of him. He doesn't know exactly when he's going to be back.
Sure.
And I don't want this to be a wasted trip. And this lady says, wait a minute. I've got the people for her.
Yeah.
Let's take her to see these people. Maybe they can help. I mean, you got no other options right now. Yeah. Let's just try.
You tried other people.
Yes. So my mom takes her to these people. And years prior, they had come to my high school on a visit to do like a little bit of a demonstration, a spiritual demonstration.
Yeah.
And that's how I first saw them. And this is where that connection happened.
Yeah.
And so they go, my mom then goes to see these people, and in the waiting room now, while she's waiting for them to consult her, they've got picture frames of all the places in the world that they've been to. So my mom goes and she's looking at all these pictures, and one of them is my school.
Wow, what a coincidence.
Turns out these are the people I've been asking for all my life. So that, I spent a lot of time with them. We connected, me and his name is Masalmi.
Yeah.
We connected. I learned a lot from him. I would say that was my first point of initiation or twasa into a different kind of realm. You know, I mean, I had been exploring it in other ways, but this was like a first kind of teaching and interaction and learning and, you know,
going in deep.
Yes. I also went to Malaysia, went to spend some time with him. And it's amazing that you should be doing this podcast now, because him and I spoke not so long ago.
Yeah.
And he is going to come to South Africa. It would be amazing. He's coming with a team of about 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah.
To do some healing here. It would be amazing for you to actually interact with them.
Yeah.
And just see exactly how that work goes, you know.
And I like the fact that you are open-minded. You're not a person who say, no, I don't care about that one, but you're actually going in, digging in, and learning.
Yes, because one of my principles is always to remain curious.
Yeah. Curiosity, yeah.
You can be skeptical, you know, take what resonates with you. You don't have to take everything and be like a sheep and be herded and just, you know, have blinkers on.
Yeah.
But be curious, because that's how learning happens.
I've realized that a lot of inventors and a lot of game changers in the world, like guys like Elon Musk, they're always learning, they're always curious, and they're not scared to start and do something that is foreign to them, that is new. I think that is the way that makes you become a better person, like you learn.
100%, because you can only, for me personally, I believe you can only learn in the doing. You gotta
practical. Yeah,
You got to
be practical. Yeah. You can't always is theory, but you have to go in there and do the work.
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
I once read the book called Mastery by Robert Greene. He speaks about this, that to master, you have to go through all these phases. You have to be like an intern or an apprenticeship where you're learning, and then you go to the second stage where you are this person who have what's this word? I forgot it, I'll remember it. And then last stage is mastery. So basically you have to go through all those stages, all those 3 stages, learning and being curious.
100%.
Then you're gonna master things.
Yeah.
So yeah, carry on with the story.
Sure. And so then
a practitioner, yeah. You become you start in the beginning, you become a practitioner, then you master.
100%.
Yeah.
And then from that point onwards, I was introduced, or I crossed paths with a number of teachers in different aspects, from
different walks of life,
different spiritual practices, until I came to a teacher by the name of Mama Ursh. And so I then went into what you would say an initiation.
Yeah.
And Mama Ursh specialized in drawing from different African traditional healing methods. As well as, when I say African, I mean the source of it, so Kemetic shamanism.
Yeah.
And then she would also draw from Hawaiian and South American, and so I learned a lot from Mama Ursh. She also did Kemetic yoga, because at that time I never understood that yoga actually started from ancient Kemet, not from India. I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of comments, and I so lie about that one. But yeah, that debate is forever going on.
Yeah,
yeah. And then from that point onwards, I also started to then delve into different types of sacred medicines, different types of plant medicines. I mean, learning about...
At the time, did you finish school, or were you still at school when you got initiated there? Or
no. This time I was already a grown man. I mean, when I went into when I met Masalmi, the gentleman I'm talking about, with my mom and that, then I was just finishing my studies. But even through my studies and all of these things, I would always delve into mysticism, you know. It was always something that I had a hunger for. I was intrigued by, you know. And of course, having the ability to see things, and like I was saying, we young men. At that time, I was a youngster, 16, 17. Of course, I wanted to go to a nightclub. And I'll never forget, I was 19 when I never set my foot in one again.
In a club.
Because
that was the experience.
Because I was sitting down in the nightclub, and it's almost like I could see the true nature of everyone there. Some people had goat heads, some people had pig heads, it was just, it was way too much for me to handle.
It was too heavy.
It was way too heavy. Look, I had gone to, let me be honest, I mean, since then I was 19. When I say I never set foot in a club again, it wasn't a every weekend thing, or like maybe when I'm traveling, because I've been blessed to travel the world, right? And somebody says, hey, let's go maybe a client or something says, let's go, there's this club, I want to show you, and let's go to
Swag,
the
yeah,
club. You know,
swag,
that sort of
yeah.
thing, yes, but I can't stay in there for too long either, you know.
Oh, sometimes maybe you have a headache.
I get dizzy.
Oh,
yeah. Even crowded spaces. If the restaurant is too full, it throws me completely off. I can't concentrate. I need space. And I feed off too many energies at a given time.
Yeah.
It becomes a bit much. And then from there, I started to do the sacred medicine, like I'm saying, and some really profound experiences. Like, you know, up till today, I work with a plant medicine that takes you on a journey for 8 hours.
Is it psychedelics or something?
So
is it not psychedelic?
I've delved into psychedelics, magic mushrooms.
How was that? I've heard a lot of people, guys like Joe Rogan, a lot of people speak about the psychedelics. That even this guy Lex Friedman speaks about their experience.
Terence McKenna.
Yeah, about the. So how is the experience, especially for the mushrooms and the psychedelics? Is it a trip?
No. It's not a trip. It's a journey. It is super profound. Like,
how do you feel like when after taking for you your experience? How did you experience the mushroom?
So, all of these sacred medicines encompass a spirit about them, right? And only later on, when I twasad, did I also start to understand that, hey, wait a minute, you know, these plants bring out the Dlozi, right? So you take certain ones to bring out a certain Dlozi. So, for example, a mushroom would be grandfather, Mkhulu. Ayahuasca would be ayahuasca would be mama, gogo. So in that is their approach. So ayahuasca
is ayahuasca.
I still do it.
Yeah, I heard that this guy on the first time I hear about ayahuasca, it was on Podcast and Chill with Mitchi. There's a comedian who's called Eugene Koza. He was explaining his experience with ayahuasca. He said there's this guy, the shaman, and they were there on that trip, and after that,
I've got some, but I've got I do the journey with it, with the tea, but I've got a smoking version of it, which we call changa. So you smoke it, DMT, and it takes you for 10 minutes. You want to do it?
Yeah.